So my name is Gavin Davies. Said earlier, head of the School Business Professional division in Regents Group. And I'm going to talk very briefly, and then I'm going to hand over to Stephen and colleagues to go through the main part of the session. But I just wanted to begin, first of all, by just reiterating what we said earlier, which is a huge thank you for everything that you do. We changed the name of our division a while ago just to reinforce and bring together all of the elements of the support that we're providing within the department to our school business professionals. And so I just wanted to kind of quickly go over some of the support that's available before handing on. So I mentioned the bursaries when I spoke earlier. We've got the email address for you to get in touch with us on there. There is a finite number of bursaries that's available, but just like Tom has his kind of negotiations with Treasury, what's really helpful for me is to know how much interest there is in these and how many of our colleagues across the system are saying, I'd really benefit from this kind of learning, because then we can take that forward and take it into negotiations. In-person training workshops, we're trying to do more of these. Obviously, we work really closely with ISBL on a local support offer. School resource management webinars, and more broadly, webinars that we lead within the department on anything that, again, is kind of on your minds and you'd find valuable, whether it's something very niche, something broad. So you just get in touch with us at the same email address there if there's anything like that you'd like us to run. And then broader support as well. So I think something we're really keen on, where there's questions that you're facing in the system that would be helpful for us to reduce some of the uncertainty on, like, for example, reserves management, which we've put out guidance on. We get a lot of questions about what's the right level of reserves within an academy trust. What's the thing in our mind that we're not saying from government's perspective. So I'm really keen that we try and put out guidance on areas like that for you, so that we can reduce some of that uncertainty. So if there is anything that you're thinking, could somebody write some guidance so that we can all be on the same page with relation to this? Really happy to take that forward. And I think that's pretty much all I was going to say. I was going to just ask if there are any questions on this specifically before handing over to Steve.
Can I just check on the bursaries? I did have a look the other day, but I thought it said it was only for schools in a deficit. Sorry to go against that, but we're not at the moment. But does that mean that I can't get a bursary for it?
So get in touch with us with your kind of school situation. There is a set of eligibility criteria. I don't think a deficit situation should be something on the eligibility criteria that stops you getting a bursary, because it's about your skills and expertise. Yeah. So, but do get in touch with us. Any others? There's somebody else? Yeah.
In what kind of area do you feel there is the most shortage of skills, and at what level?
That's a very good question. I might see if Stephen's got any views on that. I think it varies, to be honest. I think sometimes it's quite, there's sort of technical kind of skills. Sometimes it's broader. I think one of the big challenges we've got, and this comes back to the bursaries point, is the difference in roles. So, for example, at local authorities, we find that a lot of local authority chief finance officers are providing help and advice and guidance, and sometimes actually taking on some of the role within the local authority schools. With Academy Trust, you have some structures that are obviously very centralised, so you'll have a single team led by a chief finance officer. So there's a huge range, isn't there, of roles, responsibilities and levels of responsibilities. And I think our aim is to try and provide support, for all of that. So, webinars on something like, VAT registration, which is something that I hear quite a bit, versus, having a strategy for your, capital and that kind of thing. So we're trying to kind of meet every level essentially. But I'll hand over if that's.
Yeah, no, thanks, Gavin. Can you hear? Do you want me to come up there? Probably might be a bit easier. Yeah, no, thanks. Just building on what Gavin was just saying, and in response to Benedict's question, I think it's skills for what is the first thing, and we're starting to think about capability slightly differently as an institute, and operational excellence to an extent has informed that slight shift in our thinking. So we're now starting to consider the ingredients that you need to run an organisation effectively, and how you run your operations effectively in particular, hence our research into operational excellence, which sounds very big and grand and almost unreachable, but actually in its kind of boiled down version, it's about people, it's about culture, it's about structures, it's about the use of technology and data, and it's about a relentless pursuit of continuous improvement. So we're thinking very carefully about, what are the ingredients for organisational success, and what are the functions that support those ingredients, and it will vary from organisation to organisation. So a small maintained school, a federation of maintained schools, a small multi-academy trust, a large multi-academy trust, and everything in between. So context is king, and it has to be. But when we identify the functions that we need to deliver optimum outcomes in any given configuration of ops teams, then we need to think about what are the skills that those functions require. So if we decide that we need a lead on finance, somebody who understands HR, somebody who understands buildings, somebody who understands tech, then we need to think carefully about where the skills are to lean into those areas. And is it one person doing multiple things? Is it individuals specialising? Is it a bit of outsourcing? Is it leaning into the local authority? I think we're agnostic in terms of where you get the access to the talent. It has to be fit for your purpose, but what we're not agnostic about is ignoring the gaps. So where there is a lack of capability, knowledge or capacity, how do we address that, so that in the end, let's be clear, what is school business leadership about? It's creating the conditions so that teaching and learning can be optimal. Our job, our collective job, is to use the resources that are available to us, and that's important as well, because whilst we can have the debate about funding, in the end, we're going to have to deal with what's in front of us to do right by the generation of learners that we've got in front of us today. And we can have the arguments about whether there's enough money or not for the future, and we'll continue to campaign along with others in terms of making sure there's a fair deal for education. But today, right now, our job is to do the best we can with what we've got to give the best chance to the children that we're serving. And in the end, that means ensuring that we create an environment where teachers can teach and learners can learn. I'm not going to say a great deal more other than just to point very quickly to what we mean by operational excellence, and you could replace excellence with effectiveness, really, because excellence feels like this judgment, and it's not. It's not about being excellent or being rubbish. It's about aspiring to be the best version of yourself. And what the framework tries to do is to bring together enabling educational excellence, creating a catalyst for cultural change, so that everybody understands and is driving towards a common goal. And that includes, by the way, bringing the right people to the table at the right time. We often don't see that. We see the opposite. We see the wrong conversations being had by the wrong people. In fact, we see people swimming in the wrong lanes, as I would characterise it. So the wrong people making decisions on things they're not equipped to make decisions on. And likewise, we talk about school business leadership, and you see the extent to which people are distracted from their core duties because there's everything thrown at them, and that isn't in any way effective or efficient. We also over-report, but that's perhaps for another day. Operational risk reduction, really important to understand where risk resides and how you get rid of it, and that includes, because waste is a risk, it's a risk to capacity, and then ultimately what we're trying to do, we're trying to create capacity, and we're not. So this is not about cuts or efficiency for the efficiency's sake. This is about creating capacity for inward investment, not the opposite. And then there are a number of kind of, if you like, anchors to operational excellence, including an obsession with quality. And what do we mean by quality? We mean when you do a thing, you do it to the highest standards. So whether it's a colleague within a finance team that's responsible for example, inputting invoices, and somebody else is on the receiving end of what you input, the quality with which you do that really matters. And actually, if you eliminate waste and failure up front, downstream the benefits are enormous. If you don't do that, the opposite is the case. So something that's very small that goes wrong or is less than optimal becomes a very big thing at the end of the process. And of course, we look very closely at processes. Do we have a clear, well-documented, well-articulated process maps within the organisation? So could anybody pick up the process in the absence of the person doing the task at any given time? Does that facilitate cross-fertilisation of knowledge? Is there clarity in terms of the role that you're performing? Again, our research tells us that that's a bit patchy. Organisational design and where we deploy talent and expertise really matters. Building capability, that's the whole conversation that we're having this morning. We'll go onto that in a bit more detail. And then something that I think is interesting and to an extent, whilst technology and data has been an enabler, it's also created murkiness. And what I mean by that is there is a tendency to over-report, and there's a tendency to throw fancy data dashboards up without really knowing whether the audience that are on the receiving end of that data understand what on earth's being told to them. So data matters, technology matters, but the way we deploy it and the way we use it is important. So just because you've got an ICFP tool and just because you've put red, amber, green dashboard up there, it doesn't mean that everybody in the room understands what you're saying. And if they don't understand what you're saying, they can't challenge properly. So we've got to be a bit smarter about the way we use both technology and data. As I say, used properly, it's absolutely an enabler. And if we add to that AI and the power of that coming at us, the whole digital space is going to be, I think, revolutionary. But we've got to use it sensibly and more effectively than, frankly, we do at the moment. So this is the problem that operational excellence is trying to solve. But this is at an organisational level. And probably this is a good time for me to hand over to Lee, who'll talk more about the individual capability challenge, the functions that we describe within our professional standards, and the skills that you need to perform those functions at levels from entry all the way through to C-suite. Lee, over to you.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. So just to introduce myself, so I'm Lee Herridge, I'm the Director of Professional Development at ISBL. Just one thing just to touch on that Stephen's talking about there in terms of our operational excellence. We are launching training specifically focused on operational excellence. So we've run one pilot in Nottingham that's gone really well, and we're launching another pilot in London next week. So after that, we'll be fully launching trainings focused specifically on operational excellence and looking at identifying efficiencies and how you can bring about measurable change into organisations. Now, just to say, if you picked up the packs in the main room, there was a set of professional standards, which I'll just touch on shortly. But in that pack as well, there is a little brochure that just talks about operational excellence. And on the back, there is a little QR code as well, so you can actually scan the QR code. It's just an expression of interest. If you just want to find out more information, and you can be kind of targeted as part of the first groups if you are interested in progressing down that training route. So just make sure you've had a look at that. So really, as Stephen said, so what we was talking about there was an organisational capability approach. What I'm just going to touch on a little bit is just what you can do as an individual, just some of the opportunities that might be available, and then pass you over to a couple of colleagues just to talk through their career pathways, how they've used some of these tools I'll talk about, but also some of the kind of qualifications that are available as well. So a really good place to start is our professional standards. So if you haven't had it before, you should have had one in the main room that you've hopefully picked up. And again, it just sets out all the core disciplines, the tasks, the responsibilities across 4 practitioner levels from foundation to associate level. So we fully appreciate it's quite a big, heavy document. So what we've done now is we've introduced tools that allow you to assess yourself against those and identify what you do well, but also potential skills gap to help you identify what might be your development needs. So I'm just going to take you through a few visuals really just to show you what that looks like. So for ourselves, you can do a self-assessment. So it's a really straightforward, simple process where basically you work your way through and you self-diagnose yourself against the professional standards. Okay, so it's just a set of multiple choice questions, but it's flexible as well. The only section you have to complete is operational leadership. So everybody has to complete that. But if you're a HR professional and you only work in HR, for example, then you can just complete operational leadership and HR. If you work across 3 of the discipline areas, you know, estates and procurement, then you might just complete those particular areas as well. So it's really flexible, so you can use this for yourself, you can use it with staff who you line manage as well, so you might have estates managers, for example, who you're responsible for, who can use this as well, you know, looking at the estates piece. So this is the first process, so really straightforward, set of multiple choice questions, and you're just self-diagnosing yourself against the standards. It takes roughly an hour, probably an hour to an hour and a half. You can pause it, you can come back to it as well if you need to. Okay, so what does that then do? Well, basically it gives you a written report that looks a little bit like this. So you get basically a set of feedback and the algorithm will work out your overall practitioner level based on the answers that you've given across the self-assessment. So on this example here, I'm coming at it as a lead practitioner, and then I've got some quite specific feedback that's just telling me about what that means, what that individual score means, whether at the higher end of it, the lower end of it, and what generically your next steps might be to move forwards. Okay, so you get this kind of overview, which is really useful to start off with, but what the report then does is it breaks it down section by section. So you get a nice visual spider diagram that gives you your score across each of the 6 discipline areas across the standards. So again, just a really visual representation of kind of areas where you may be stronger than others. But each discipline area as well breaks it down section by section. So you can see there again, we've got operational leadership coming out at lead level. But what the report then does is it will give you a little visual representation of how you've scored on each of the sections that you've answered, but also it will give you specific recommendations of training, qualifications that you might want to look to undertake to progress and move forward. So for example there, it might be the SIPFA qualification that Gavin spoke to before that they're putting bursaries into at the moment. And again, so it does that across every discipline area that you answer. So it just gives you a really visual report and identifies, your strengths and areas for development across each. The final page of the report then just really simply pulls through all the areas for potential development. Again, it's quite simple in that it just pulls through any answer that you've given. So if you come out as a lead practitioner, it will just pull through any answers where you've answered as foundation or associate level. So again, it's just really useful to get all that data together and just think about what your areas of priority might be moving forwards. So we'll take a little example, and you can see here where it says click here on the report. If you click there, you can actually then download a personal development plan, which you might want to use. So for example, if we take here, one area of improvement you might want to look at is EDI. Okay, so you can then download a little template, and again, this is purely optional, but it's just a tool that you could use. You could then fill that in, you can use it for yourself, you could use it with staff, and actually just thinking about, over the next 12 months, I want to start improving areas of focus in EDI. Currently, I'm at a foundation level, I want to be moving up to a lead level, and what am I going to do to achieve that? Well, I might shadow a HR director, I might put myself onto some EDI training. So, and again, you can set those success criteria. Again, it's purely optional. It's a tool you can use, so you can take it to your performance management reviews with your line manager, which hopefully you're all getting. Or you can use it with your staff who you're responsible for. So again, just kind of using the standards just to think about, well, where might be areas to improve and what is it you can actually do to help fill that gap. Okay, and again, it's just a tool that you can use. Okay, so that's our self-assessment report and our self-assessment process. What you can then do as a member of ISBL is you can then apply for formal accreditation based on that. So basically what we ask for is 3 pieces of evidence. So firstly, a self-assessment report. Secondly, we then ask for a signed employer statement. We ask for that for 2 reasons. So firstly, we're just asking the employer to verify that you're actually working at the level you're claiming. But also, what we say is it involves the employer within the conversation. They're looking at all the tasks, the responsibilities that you're completing, and actually they're involved in that process. They can see how much work you're doing, and actually they think, do you know what, there's a lot of work that's going into the job here that they might not see on a daily basis. So it's involving them in that process as well. And then the third stage is we just ask for proof of relevant qualifications. So each practitioner level is aligned to a certain level of qualification. And again, that's free. It's available for all our members to access, but you can gain a certificate out of that you can then use. You also get a digital badge as well that you can put onto your emails. That again just asserts that you're at a lead level, a strategic level. Again, it's adding credence to yourself in your role, but also if you are looking at potentially moving into another role or looking at new opportunities, what a brilliant piece of evidence to take forward to a new employer as well, to say, I'm accredited through ISBL, at lead, strategic level, whatever it might be. So again, that's another toolkit in our armour. I'll kind of ask if anybody's got any questions at the end, but what we thought would be useful at this point is just to kind of hear some experiences of 2 practitioners who kind of live and breathe this a little bit. So 2 practitioners who've used the self-assessment, kind of looked at accreditation processes, but also have undertaken some qualifications through ourselves as well. So first I'm going to ask Anne just to give us a little talk through kind of your career pathway, if you can, please, and just how you've used some of these tools.
Hello. So I'm Anne Slade. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for a multi-academy trust in the southeast of England. We've got 19 schools. 18 years ago, I started as a school secretary in a one-form entry school. I was one of the first cohort who did a pilot of what was then called the Level 4 Certificate of School Business Management, went on to the Level 5. That enabled me to move and become a school business manager in a school. I then moved to the trust I'm at now, which was then 2 schools, and I did the Level 6 Diploma in School Business Management. So that has enabled me to become a fellow of the ISBL. I've used the professional standards for years. So I've used them for setting performance management targets for my team, but also to commence conversations with my line manager, who's the CEO, about actually what my responsibilities are, and also to determine salary as well. Because if you've got that evidence at your arsenal, it is very useful to have. I have completed the self-assessment and have the accreditation, and I'm now beginning to use that with my team as well. I think it's really important. I mean, I spend a lot of time saying we work in education. Children shouldn't be the only one that are continually learning. We should all be doing that. And so I'm always encouraging my team to do all of those things. So yes, so that's me and how I've used the accreditation.
Hi everyone, thank you. My name's Amy Bignell. I'm an operations manager at a multi-academy trust in the southwest of England. I actually started in education about 5 years ago. I come from a mechanical and electrical engineering background. I graduated from university with a degree in education and politics, so I knew education was end goal, and I took the skills that I'd learned in mechanical and electrical contracting effectively into an assistant operations manager role, which was really helpful, looking at things like facilities and compliance and things. I really quickly realised at the time actually that I had to move forward with the qualifications I was getting because I did have a skills gap. So I undertook the SBP Level 4 apprenticeship whilst working, which is absolutely no joke. That is really intense when you're working full-time and carrying out an apprenticeship. But what that did was really reassure me that actually the things that were industry standard and were recommended I was already doing in my sitting. And that then gave me the qualifications to be able to move to the next step. So at present, I'm studying for the SIP for level 7. Again, I find that really, really worthwhile. Some of the content, I think everyone here will know you've probably done lots of courses where you think, well, this content's not really relevant for me. But actually, the SIP for level 7 has lots of relevant content, and that's something that I really look for when I'm recommending something to colleagues. I know how precious time is. We work in really time-poor environments, and actually the content is really relevant in this qualification. Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit actually about time, and I think that investment in time is a really important thing, and that's something that comes up again and again, is actually trying to convince your senior leadership team or your principal or your CEO that you should be investing time in that. And actually, I think the question that I always go back and ask at that is, how can you afford the time to not do that qualification? If you're investing the time in the team that you've got leading your schools from an operational point of view, what you're actually going to do is make time efficiencies over time that will effectively save the organisation time and money. And that's something, Stephen, you touched on it earlier, is actually communicating to your senior leadership team and your principals that in a way that they understand. They've got a different mindset to us. They're very educational based. Obviously, I've studied education at degree level, so I've kind of got that little in. So I know the old money speak to when I'm chatting to my principal and CEO, which is quite nice. But actually being able to explain to him that if I have the qualifications I need and I can use like the accreditation and the ISBL professional standards with the team around me, what I can do is build in what I've kind of affectionately termed as micro excellencies in all of the team, and every member of the team, from my finance administrator to my caretaker, I can build in the skills that they need for what we're expecting long term. And it does also allow for succession planning and things like what Anne said. So yeah, I think that's the main thing for me has been kind of investing that time, which is not always easy. And I kind of questioned when I started that myself, actually, is have I got the time to do this? And the answer was probably no. But in hindsight, actually, yes, I have saved a lot of time and kind of been able to invest in that. So, yeah, okay.
Just picking up on Amy's point there, I think what you said is absolutely spot on in terms of it's counterintuitive not to invest in the capability of your school business leader, but in order to win that argument, or to frame that argument, if you like, that's why it's so important to understand what your organisation needs. And if you understand what you need, then you understand the skills that the person that you've employed need to do the job. And so rather than swimming upstream all the time, having an argument with senior leaders and head teachers and governors about whether or not they invest in you, the organisation should understand what it needs, therefore it should invest in you and the future. So no, thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, and I think it's really good to hear from practitioners and your peers as well, to see exactly how they've used the standards, how they've used self-assessment, but also how they've engaged in some of the qualifications as well. So just before we go for questions, which obviously we're quite keen to do, I just thought it might be worth sharing with you, because again, this might be useful for some people, about what qualification pathways might look like, in particular across the sector. So I won't go through this in kind of much detail, but I just thought it's worth just giving a little bit of an overview for some people who might be looking at qualifications and thinking, well, what could I do next? So I think at level 4, a lot of people will do a diploma in school business management at level 4. That's probably the base qualification that most people across the sector have, or as Amy said, there is an apprenticeship version of that as well that's available. But beyond that, again, there are qualifications that are available that you can do for ourselves. So we have a level 5 diploma in management and leadership, as well as a certificate in project management. They're done in collaboration with the Charter Management Institute. So again, they're kind of more generic qualifications that may be relevant. There's a level 6 manager degree apprenticeship. Again, if you want to make use of an apprenticeship levy, and again, there's more information about that through our website. As well as at level 7, the senior leader degree apprenticeship that can be available as well. So that's kind of a generalist pathway of how you might progress, but a very popular qualification that you may also consider as well if you're looking at doing something, if maybe you've got a level 4 qualification and you want to do something a bit more strategic, to enhance yourself. One that definitely recommend looking at is the Level 7 Certificate in Strategic Educational Leadership that's available for ourselves. It's one module from a master's degree that's offered by Chester University. So in terms of time, it's probably a 6-month period. You're completing it over. You do a piece of academic writing that's relevant to your setting. It's reasonably priced, but it actually gives you a Level 7 qualification as well without having to do a full 3-year master's programme. So it's definitely something worth considering looking at as well. In terms of specialisms, again, there's lots of pathways available, but just to make you aware, again, of some of the options. Again, I won't go through all this, but one that we touched on before, the Level 7 Diploma in Financial and Operational Leadership, very popular qualification. The DFE are putting bursaries together, as I said, for that at the moment. So if you want to speak to me about that today, I can kind of send you a link directly to apply for that as well. But also there's lots of other options out there as well. So, you know, across CIPD, across the HR side, we have estates management qualifications as well. So there's lots of qualifications and kind of pathways that are out there and available that you can do for ourselves. And again, I'm around if you want to kind of catch me at lunch and speak to me about any opportunities that might be available as well. Okay. Just before we finish, has anybody got any general questions you'd like to ask anybody?
If anybody wants to particularly talk about this, the Level 7 Certificate of Strategic Educational Leadership, I've done it and would highly recommend it. So I'm more than happy to talk to anybody afterwards about that.
What do you see as the main barriers to take up all those professional development initiatives? In my trust, one of the comments we had sometimes is that it was too time consuming, and if they could offer some bite-sized modules with specific accreditation along the way, that would be a lot more helpful. You mentioned time as an issue, but yeah, what are generally the main barriers mentioned to take up these up? Yeah.
I think the ones we tend to hear time and time again, obviously time, cost are the big barriers, but obviously work-life balance is the barrier as well. If you're doing an apprenticeship, then obviously you've got 20% off the job, so then it's capacity, and have you got that internal capacity for somebody to effectively be covering your work for a day? You know, there's lots of barriers, but I think it's trying to overcome those barriers. I think that's the important thing, because if you can actually if you can actually put some time aside to actually dedicate to completing a qualification, whether it's modular or whether it's over a course of a year, you really do see the long-term benefits from it. Now, just one final thing I just wanted to make you aware of as well is from September, we're actually going to be launching an educationally contextualised mini MBA qualification as well, which is going to be at level 6. So again, there's a QR code there if you want to scan that. But again, that's going to be relevant for those who are potentially maybe looking at becoming a COO in the future, or really want to lead across that operational leadership piece. So again, there's a QR code there if you just want to set out an expression of interest. Again, just thinking of the different pathways that might be available to help you with your potential career progression as well.
One more question.
Sorry, I'm being waved at. That's we're out of time, but.
The next session, sorry.
Okay, no worries. Thank you very much.